Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and today we are doing a mod spotlight on the Aura Cascade mod by pixlepix for Minecraft 1.7.10. This is a really cool, somewhat new, magic-y tech mod. It adds a bunch of really cool, really useful items and blocks that I think you guys are really gonna like. So the first thing I would like to mention is if you would like to download this mod and play along with me, there will be two links down below, one to the Aura Cascade mod and one to Baubles, which you do need to have in your mods folder in order to play this. You need both of those mods if you want to play it. And also I'd like to mention this little book here, the Encyclopedia Aura, which is a really cool, really useful little book, which is very similar to the Lexica Botania, for those who have ever played with Botania, in that it kind of walks you through and talks to you about all of the mods and all the mechanics and all the blocks and items that are in this mod, and it's a really cool place to go. If you get stuck at any point, if I miss something out during the video, or if something gets added in a later update, if you check out the Encyclopedia Aura, most of the stuff will be there. There's also this little, quest section at the top here, and this kind of walks you through everything that you need to do step by step in order to get started and to progress on with this mod, which is kind of awesome. We're not going to use it too much because I'm going to basically telling you what's in this book, but yeah, if you get stuck at any point, it's a good place to start. So, to begin with here, we're going to start over here in this left corner. The first thing and the fundamental basic block from Aura Cascade is the Aura node. Not to be confused with the Aura nodes from Thaumcraft, nothing to do with those. It's not even related to Thaumcraft, it's not an add-on mod or anything. Standalone mod. These things are the basics. So if we put one down, like so, you will see if we hover over it with our crosshair, it says no aura. There is currently no aura within this Aura node. If we put another one down that is horizontally near, or should I say horizontally connected to one of these Aura nodes, and you'll see what I mean when I put one down here, you'll see it does a little particle effect, and it basically tells you, the user, these two are now connected. These two know that the other one is there. And we can do the same kind of over here, and over here, and over here, or here, and you'll see they all connect. Now, they won't connect diagonally, like so. They will connect up and down, like this. And I think you kind of get the idea, you know, if one of the faces of one Aura node can see a face from another Aura node, they will kind of connect. And if we put this one back down, it shows that it connects to all of them. Cool. So, what we need to do with these guys is, I'm just going to get rid of all of these for now, apart from one, which we're going to put here, is we need to give it some aura. And the way that you give these things aura is using white aura crystals, at least to start with. There are multiple different colored aura crystals. The white ones are the ones you make by default. The rest of them are made by using dyes and the white ones. Just a quick little note about recipes. I'm not going to focus on recipes at all during this mod spotlight, because most mod packs have NEI installed. You can kind of just flick through, find what you're looking for, and then find the recipe that way. I will, however, put the recipes up on the screen for the important items. Like, I'll put the recipe for the white aura crystals up right now. So if you do not have any NEI installed or you just want to know what the recipe is, it'll be there for you. But I'm not going to spend 20 minutes of the video talking you through every single recipe for every single block that we use. So yeah, there you go. These white aura crystals, all we have to do is just right-click on the aura node, and it will put 1,000 white aura in for each aura crystal. Now, let me quickly go and set time to day there so it doesn't go too dark. And what we need to do now is we need to be able to transfer this aura from one aura node to another aura node. And it's actually really simple. All you gotta do, put one down. If they make a connection, one aura node will start transferring to the other, and they'll transfer back and forth until they reach a somewhat equilibrium. These aura nodes like to have the same amount of aura. They like to share. So right now, this one is at 502, this one is at 498, and that's as close as they're going to get to an equal amount. If we put a third one down, this one suddenly realizes that it has more than this one, so it starts sending stuff over. Then this one realizes it has more than this one, so it starts sending stuff over, and they kind of, again, try and even out. Now, once you get to more than 2 aura nodes in a system like we have right now, they never really stop trying to even out because it's a bit of a pain for them. And you'll notice this one's on 291, this one's on 416, and this one's on 293, and that's about as even as they're going to get. They're going to give away 1 or 2 points here and there, and they're going to keep doing this little particle effect to show that they're kind of trying to balance still, but they're never really going to get more balance than this, and because this one's in the middle, this one's always going to have a little bit more than the rest of them. We can do the same again. We can put them down over here, and now these little three are going to, this little square's going to connect with all of these, and they're all going to try and share out the aura between them all. And they all do a pretty good job of it, actually. You can see they're all about 150, 200, 204, 179. They're all about the same amount. Cool. So you're probably thinking right now, Isaac, that's interesting and all, and that's a pretty neat mechanic, but what the heck am I going to use it for? And that is a good question, and that is where the rest of this stuff comes in. Now, one thing I did forget to mention just there is that although this does work horizontally, like this, you'll see they share horizontally. They do not share vertically. You'll see it does connect, but they don't share it. These still have no aura in them. However, if I do put aura into one, it can go down, but not up. So you'll see we're on 1,502. We'll put another 1,000 into this one, which will begin to drop. This one will just end up losing all of its aura, but because it doesn't go back up, this one just eventually loses everything. So this one now has almost... Come on now, you're going to leave me with 2? I was going to say almost, and then I was going to say no aura. But basically, it runs out of aura. So most of our aura is now in this aura node. And this is kind of the key mechanic of Aura Cascade, is dropping aura from one aura node to another. Because when you do that, it kind of creates force, which generates power. So, what we need to do is, we need to find a way to move aura up. Because all of these machines that we've got over here, that we'll move on to in a second, run on the power that is generated when you drop aura from one aura node to another. And of course, the higher that you place this aura node above this aura node, when the aura drops, the more power will be generated. I believe the formula is like amount of aura dropped times by block height. So if this was like dropping 100 aura and it was 10 blocks high, it would generate 1,000 power. Is basically the formula. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. But basically, the higher up it goes, the more aura it's dropping, the more power it will generate. Now, you'll be asking, how do I get aura up, Isaac? Because clearly it doesn't move from this aura node. And that is where these 5 or 6 little blocks here come in. Now, this one on the end is a creative aura pump. This one I will be using in the video, but you cannot get. It is creative mode only. I'm going to be using it just for easiness sake and an easy way of moving aura up. But for survival worlds, you'll be using one of these 5. Now, the most basic and simple one is the burning aura pump. This one over here. And as you may have guessed, it uses fuel to move aura up. So it acts just like an aura node in that you can see this aura node is now sharing with this guy. But however, it doesn't try and share back. So you'll see that all of the aura from this one is being transferred over here. And this one's just kind of keeping it. This one's like, I want to keep all of this. And that's what I'm going to do. And then if we put one above it, you'll see right now it made the connection, but it's still not moving any aura. Now, each one of these like pumps that we have here uses a different fuel in order to move aura up. This one, the burning aura pump, uses fuel, I guess. Uses things that you can burn. So if we grab some coal, some wood, some charcoal, anything like that, and we just throw it at it, boom. You'll see it starts to move the aura up into this one, which then starts to share with this one, which then drops it onto this one, which then shares back with this one, and we have made a loop of aura that is just going to continue round and round and round and round and round forever, generating power over here every time that this is dropped onto there. Now, the best way of me to show you that power is being generated is using, say, this block over here, the cascading smelter. So the cascading smelter, if we just put it down like on its own in the middle of nowhere, is kind of useless. You'll see it says progress 0 out of 3, power per progress 190, last power 0. Now, we can't right-click on this. There is no GUI, there's no interface, there's no nothing. We can't do anything with this unless we put it next to an aura node that is having aura dropped onto it. So if we put this here, you will see that it's starting to get power. Now, it's not getting a lot of power because we've only put a little bit of aura in here. There's only about 2,000, 3,000 white aura in circulation, and it's only being dropped by 1 block. So not a lot of power is being generated here. However, if we were to go ahead and move this up, and I'm just using these to get this quite high, by the way. You don't need all of these in the middle, like that. You just need to put them high up. And then if we do the same with this one, and kind of get this one nice and high up and get rid of all of these, and then give this a little bit more fuel, you'll see it's again going to start to throw all of that up there, and it should go across again. Oh, this one doesn't have any aura. That is because, that's fine. Let's put some more aura in here. Let's get some aura going. This one should get some aura. There we go. Now it's got aura in it. We'll put some more in both of these. It's going to go around. It's going to drop it. And when it drops it here, we're now getting much more aura. You can see the amount of power that it has is going up drastically. And you'll see the progress bar is also going up. And now that we have that, what we can do is we can find something that you would usually cook. For instance, let's say some iron ore or maybe some steak. Actually, let's get some beef because steak is the cooked version. Let's get some beef. And if we throw ore at it, like so, boom, turns it to iron. Throw beef at it, boom, it cooks the beef. Nice. Also, by the way, all of the blocks in this mod don't really have an interface. There's no GUIs. There's no like opening it up and putting it in an interface. You have to just throw things at it. And for that reason, there is a mechanic in this that all of the items around the blocks will not despawn. So don't worry about throwing like a stack of iron at at this thing. It's not going to smelt it all at once. It's going to take its time and smelt them one at a time every time it gets up to the 3 out of 3 on progress. But your iron ore won't despawn. It will stay there pretty much indefinitely. So not something you have to worry about. And that is how the kind of the power drop system works. Now, before we move on to some of the rest of these blocks here, I would like to talk to you about some of the rest of the pumps that we have. The first one we have over here is the illumination pump. This one basically uses things that generate light to generate power to move aura up. So let's see. Torches is the first one that comes to mind, and glowstone is the other one that comes to mind. And it helps if you can spell glowstone, like that. You're doing glowstone blocks. I don't believe you can use glowstone dust, because in order for this to work, you have to, let me just grab one of these real quick. You have to put it down next to it. So you'll see that consumed up the light there, and now this aura has 30 seconds of power left. 750 power per second is what it can output. And we put another one down and do the same thing again. We'll do glowstone this time. It's going to break the glowstone, and again, we have a bit more power. We have the same amount of power, but for a bit longer period of time, because torches are obviously not as expensive as glowstone to get, and that's how the illumination one works. So it's just a different variation on the burning aura pump. Not quite sure how useful this one would be. I don't find myself often having excess torches and glowstone. However, sticks are kind of pretty much free once you have a wood farm going, so I guess if you combine sticks with wood, I think this one is a little bit more efficient in that regard. This one that we have here is pretty interesting. I'll come to this one in a second. This one, the redstone pump, works in a very similar way to the illumination pump, in that it uses redstone. So if we grab some redstone, and then we can grab either a lever or a redstone torch, put the redstone down, and then as soon as you give it a redstone signal, it's going to get used, and this thing has like 1,500 power for 14 seconds. So this one has a much smaller time frame, but gives much more power. So it's going to be a lot faster at like getting that smeltery up to the point where it can smelt an item, but it's not going to be able to do it for as long. So that's how the redstone one works. The projectile one is very interesting, and one that I would really love to play around with and try and automate, because this one is powered by projectiles. So let's grab a bow, and let's grab some arrows, and you'll see right now it's on 0 power for 0 time. If we fire an arrow at it, and we go back, it's now got 1,000 power for 20 seconds. This one works by firing projectiles, which is pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me. And then the final one that we have over here is the momentum aura pump, and this one gets its power by dropping mobs on top of it. So if you have something like a mob spawner setup where you're spawning, say, zombies, or you find a zombie spawner, and then you drop a zombie, let me get rid of this just in case it messes with it, and you drop a zombie onto this thing, and let's go really high, to the point where we could probably kill the zombie when it drops. Like, say you have a big dropper spawner setup, you spawn a zombie in, let's go into easy, and then you drop the zombie onto this guy, the zombie dies, and this thing has now 500 power for 50 seconds. That, if you ask me, is probably like the most awesome way to make this power, because you can just have a big dropper system, have the zombies fall, die, you can still pick up all the drops, and you are also generating power for your aura setup as well, so you can move aura about, which, if you ask me, is pretty freaking cool. So that's all of the pumps that you can make and how you can move aura from its like kind of horizontal layer up. The next thing we're going to talk about is this little setup that we have over here. So this is called vortex crafting, and basically what we have is we have a vortex controller as well as 4 vortex pedestals, and these vortex pedestals kind of double as aura nodes. They are both aura nodes and pedestals, so they are aura nodes that can hold stuff like this, and it works in a very similar way to infusion crafting, if you're ever played with Thaumcraft, in that you have 4 items that we are then going to combine using aura into 1 item. So the simplest version of this that I can demonstrate is turning rotten flesh into leather. So if we grab some rotten flesh here, like this, we're going to take 4 rotten flesh, and we're going to turn this into leather. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let me again quickly go back to daytime. There we go. And you'll see right now, if we hover over the vortex controller, it says making leather, and then it says power received 0 out of 10,000 for each of the 4 pedestals. Now note, in brackets, it says white. Some of the later game recipes in the vortex controller may require things like orange aura or blue aura, or some even require like this one to have orange, this one to have blue, this one to have white, and this one to have pink. So do be careful with that. The way you would do that is just you'd have your aura node set up as usual, but instead of using a white aura crystal, you would use an orange aura crystal. Let's see here, if we grab an orange aura crystal and put it in here, you'll see it now has some orange aura in it. So just be careful when you're looking up the recipe. If it's not working, it might be because you have the wrong color aura. But for this one, it's fairly easy. Let me grab a creative mode pump. Of course, if you're in survival, you'd use one of the other 5. And we're going to put it down like this. And you can see it's going to go ahead and gather. It's going to pull the aura back. And what we want to do here is we want to have, let's put one here and one here. And then say here and here. And the reason I've done that is because we're going to drop aura onto these nodes. We're going to drop aura onto the pedestals, and then we want to be able to bring the aura back from the pedestal round and up to the pump. So let's make it really simple. Let's just go like 2 blocks above here. Again, the higher you go, the more power it will produce and the faster it will make it. But for now, let's just go 2 up like this. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have 1 up there. That aura is going to get sent up. It's going to go across. We're going to have 1 in the middle. So it's going to go from there to there. Some of the aura in here will go to this one. Some of it will drop down to this one. Actually, instead, let's do this. Like that. So now what's going to happen is the aura is going to go up from here to this one. It's going to share itself with this one, which is going to then drop it on this. This aura node is going to try and share it with all the 4 around it, who are then going to drop it onto these aura nodes, generating power, who are then going to all either give it back to their respective aura nodes. So this one will give it to this one will give it back to the creative pump, this one to this one to this one, then to this one, then to this one, then to the pump, and it will loop around again and again and again. Hopefully that made sense. It was a little bit confusing, I think, but we'll go ahead and we'll throw down some aura crystals. That's going to give the creative pump a lot of power. You can see this thing produces a butt ton of power. Like a million. Is that a million? That is 10 million for 2 seconds. So this thing is doing a lot of power. These things will pretty much always, like, almost done already. You can see 9,000 and 10,000 and boom. Leather. Nice. If you were doing that with one of the other pumps, it would take a significantly longer period of time. For example, this one produces, I think, 300 power for, let's see here, if we throw wood on it. Yeah, 300 power for 60 seconds. So it would last a lot longer, but 300 power, if you're getting to 10,000, it might take a while. So sometimes it's going to take a bit longer. I sped it up a little bit using the creative one for the sake of this video, but that is how infusion crafting works. You want to set up like this, you can do a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different recipes. You can look them up in NEI, and you're also going to need this for a couple of other recipes for some more things within the mod later on in this episode, but we're probably not going to use this again for the rest of today. We're going to move on instead and look at these blocks. So one of the most important blocks in this mod is this guy, the cascading processor. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually get rid of this for now, because we're not going to need it again, and I'm instead going to just keep it like this. We have this little setup again. Aura goes up, round, down, creates power. Now, this guy, the cascading processor, works very similarly to the furnace. You got to put it next to an aura node, and when the power drops, it generates power. This one has a progress of 60, so you got to get it all the way up to 60 for it to work. But basically, the simplest thing this does is it doubles ores, which is kind of cool. It has its own little audibling system. You throw an iron ore at it, wait for it to get to 60, and it makes some iron dust. Now, one thing I will point out, it's something that kind of caught me off guard when I first tried to record this. The mod itself does not have any iron dust inside of it, so there's no item called iron dust within the Aura Cascade mod. So, you do have to have a mod installed that adds iron dust. For example, right now I have Thermal Foundation installed, which has iron dust. So therefore it made iron dust from Thermal Foundation. You can also have things like Industrial Craft Mechanism, probably things like Applied Energistics, I think, and even some more of them that add their own form of iron dust. But if you don't have a mod that adds iron dust, this won't work. You'll just throw it at it and nothing will happen. I think it does have like features. I think it does work with all the rest of the ores from other mods. If you can find the dust, yeah, there we go, we just made some copper dust. So, yeah, just a quick disclaimer there, but it can go ahead and double dust, double ingots into dust, which is kind of cool. One of its main functions within the mod is to make arcane ingots. If we look in here, we will see we have a bunch of arcane colored ingots for all the different color of crystals we have, and you'll see if we go ahead and like grab one and look at the recipe, it does actually show us the recipe, and the reason it doesn't show us the recipe is because you have to make it using the cascading processor. Now, the way that you make these is by throwing any color wool, depending on what color ingot you want, and an iron at the cascading processor. So let's grab an iron ingot, and let's grab, say, a red wool. And if we throw both of these at the cascading processor, boom, boom, they should form together when it gets to 60 into a red ingot. Nice. So that's how you make all of the arcane colored ingots, depending on which color you want. You are definitely going to need these for pretty much everything else in this mod, so be sure you know how to make that. And one really cool block added by Aura Cascade here is the cascading colorer, which I think is added specifically to make it easier to get all the different colored ingots, but is also just really cool in and of itself. So let's throw this down here. Does that work? That's not getting power. Let's get rid of... Oh, wait. No, it's not. Let's get rid of you. That's going to start giving this power. And what this does is this allows you to change the color of nearby sheep. So, and it also forces their wool to regrow. So let's put down like a little fence system here. And also let's put one down there and there so the sheep can't get out. And then let's grab, actually let's do this. and this. Let's grab ourselves a sheep, and let's throw it in here. Now, you'll notice that instantly that sheep begins changing color. Now, again, we are using a creative pump, so this is going a lot faster than it normally would. Usually, if you're using like a normal burning pump, it would only change color every few seconds. But you can also grab some shears, and the colorer does force it to regrow its wool instantly. So you can kind of just stand here and hold down right click, and you're just going to get tons of different colored wool. It is kind of crazy. It's a really cool, easy way to get all the different colored wools for the cascading processor, but it's also just a really cool way of getting a lot of wool as well, which is kind of cool. It does have a very short range. The sheep pretty much has to be in the block next to it. You'll see if I put it like here. This one's not changing color. That one is changing color because it's kind of just within that radius, but they do have to be very close. You'll see that one is not changing color. They have to be very close in order for this to work. So I'm going to let this guy go. Go, be free, sheep. Let's get rid of all this stuff. That's how the cascading color works. And then the final block in this little kind of trio here is the prismatic processor, which is an upgraded version of the cascading processor. This one is made using an arcane prism, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is made by throwing, I'm just going to tell you the recipe for this one because it's not an NEI, is made by throwing one of each color gem at the cascading processor. Gems are all the way over here. They're very similar to ingots, but they are made instead using the vortex crafting, and they require 20,000 of any color aura for this one, as well as 3 of the ingots and a diamond, get you that color gem. And then if you grab one of each color gem and throw it at the processor, wait a few seconds, it should make you one of those really cool looking gems. This guy up here, the arcane prism, which you can then use to make yourself the prismatic processor, which, much like the cascading processor, can be used to make the ingots, it can be used to make the other stuff, but also it can be used to triple ores. So if we grab some iron dust and we throw it, some iron ore, sorry, and we throw it at the prismatic processor, like so, when it gets to 9, boom, triple. We now got three dust for that. You'll also see the process is it takes a lot less time to make stuff. You'll see it says process of 4 out of 9 instead of out of 60. So this one is much faster, requires a lot less aura, and can also triple dusts. Triple ingots, triple ores into dust, which is kind of cool, which you can then smelt however you like. So that's the prismatic processor. The rest of these, apart from maybe the cascading synthesizer, are all kind of just for fun, I guess. They don't really impact, they're not really used for the mod, they're just used to do really cool stuff. So for example, the cascading brewer, as you may have guessed, is used to brew things. It does it in a fairly interesting way. It's not like your typical brewer where you put the certain items in that you want to make. You would assume that, for instance, if you wanted to make, say, an awkward potion, you would just throw a water bottle and some nether wart at this thing, and it would make you an awkward potion. That's not how it works. Instead, you just throw a water bottle at it. To start with, it will make you an awkward potion, like so, just for free. And then if you leave it there, it will just give you a random potion. We got a potion of poison. If we leave it there again, it'll probably extend the length of our potion of poison. Potion of poison. That's a bit of a tongue twister there. You can see now it's poison 2 for 22 seconds. If we get rid of this, grab some more water, and do the same thing again, it'll go from water to awkward potion, then from awkward potion to random potion. Once it gets to 25, there we go. This time we got night vision, and it's a little weird. You know, I would have assumed you'd be able to like specifically pick which ones you wanted. But at the same time, it's a really cool, really neat little way of getting, like, just loads of every single potion without having to get, like, all of the random little ingredients that you need to make them. So, if you want a way of getting all the potions, this thing is probably the easiest way to do it. Next up on the list is the cascading grower. This is used to grow stuff. I'm a bit disappointed with this block, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, it only works on the one block above it, and it doesn't work in an area, so it only works on this one singular block. Let's grab a hoe, and let's grab some seeds. And if we do something like this, boom, boom, when this thing receives power, it'll go. It's got a really short process, like, it only has to go up to 2, but it's going to go ahead and it's going to grow this wheat any second now. There we go, 14, 29, and it's going to slowly tick away and make this thing grow. So, not the best one in the world. You can see it's a bit iffy. And when it does grow, it only grows it by a little bit. It might be more useful for something like netherwort than it would be for wheat. Although I guess if you did just leave it here and you had something to automatically harvest the wheat and plant more, it could be a pretty cool little automated wheat farm that is a bit faster than vanilla farming. But overall, not a huge fan of that block, but it's one of the only ones I'm not really too happy with. The rest are pretty awesome. The cascading looter, this one over here, will just generate items from the dungeon chest pool. So any item that could normally spawn in a dungeon chest, this has a chance of spawning. So once it gets to 100, first of all, let's get a bit more aura. Let's get some more of these crystals, and let's just, increase the amount of aura in here so this goes a bit faster. That should make this thing go up a little quicker. There we go, 10. And then let's also go ahead and put this a bit higher so we get a bit more speed from this thing as well. Let's go up to, there. I think there is a limit on how high you can go here, but I'm not sure what that limit is, so that's something you can play around with if you'd like. That's going to go across, it's going to drop it, and there we go, 42. That's going up much faster now. I like it a lot. And once this gets to 100, it's just going to spew out a random item from the dungeon chest, from the items that can spawn in the dungeon chests. I don't really know what to call that. But yeah, that's what that does whilst we're waiting for that to finish, because that looks like it's going to take a little bit of time, surprisingly so. Can we throw some more crystals in there? We are just throwing crystals at this thing wildly right now. But that should... There we go. There we go. There we go. Now it's going nice and fast. 100. Boom. We got bread. I've seen gunpowder before. I've seen pretty much anything, like I said, that could spawn within a dungeon chest. Next up on the list is this one over here, the cascading spawner, one of my favorites. If we go ahead and throw this down here, we'll let this thing finish again and see what else we get. Redstone, cool. This one spawns mobs, and it spawns them real quick. First of all, I'm going to go into peaceful, because I don't want them everywhere. But you'll see just how fast, you'll see them flicker in because we're in peaceful here. You'll see just how fast it's spawning so many mobs. And again, we are getting a lot of power here from the creative pump. We did throw a lot of aura crystals at this thing, but it just shows how fast you can spawn things in. And then you could use these mobs to get your momentum pump working, which is kind of cool. I think this is awesome. It's a really nice, easy way to spot all the mobs in. You can also get slimes as well. Slimes are usually a bit harder to get than that, so that's kind of cool. Next on the list is the synthesizer. I'm going to come back to that one because that is, again, a utility one. This one here, the kaleidoscopic enchanter. The names get a bit weird towards the end here, but the kaleidoscopic enchanter is used for enchanting. And if we look in the encyclopedia aura here, and we go to enchantments, you'll see there's a bunch of different things here. And what you can do is, let's say we grab a sword. Let's grab a gold sword. And then what you can do is you can throw your sword with a crystal. Different colored crystals give different enchantments, by the way. Let's look in the book. And the book does tell you. So let's see, combat. Green and blue will grant lifesteal. So green and blue crystals grant lifesteal. So we get green, throw it at this thing. Give it a few seconds. Once it gets up to 1,000, this thing does require a lot of time. It's going to combine that green crystal with the golden sword and give us a golden sword with, I think it comes up as green crystal effect or something like that. But basically it means that we're going to have lifesteal. Now, you can put as many crystals as you want, I believe, onto the gold sword, but the more that you try and put on, the first one works 100% of the time. So that always works. It doesn't go wrong. We have kaleidoscopic green, which basically means lifesteal. If I try to put a second one on, let's say I try and put blue on, this time I think there's a 75% chance of it working, and then it goes down from there. I think it's 50, 25, and then maybe 0, so maybe you can only put 4 on. But the more you try and put on, the harder it is. So it's harder to get loads of enchantments on it, but it is possible if you have the time and the resources to give it a try. That one's going to take a while, so I'm just going to leave that there. I think you kind of get the idea. It can be used to put enchantments on it. It's pretty cool. And then finally, this is probably possibly my favorite, but it does mess with the terrain a little bit. So I'm going to show you what the cascading synthesizer, sorry, I struggle with the synthesizer there. The cascading synthesizer makes us some angel ingots. So if I put this down here, it requires 50 process points to work. And once it gets to 50, it will give us an angel ingot of the first degree. So I'll wait for this to spawn in and I'll show you. Here we go. We got ourselves an angel's steel of the first degree is what we got. And if we go ahead and look in the mod here, there are 11 degrees of angel steel. It goes all the way up to angel steel of the 11th degree. Now, this guy over here is always going to spawn in the first degree of angel crystals. The way you get to the next tier of angel crystals is by throwing 3 of the previous tier together on the floor. So if we go 1, 2, 3, they will combine together to make angel steel of the second degree. Now, what can you do with angel steel? If we look at what we can do with it, you can see it can be used to make tools, primarily. So, for example, if we use Angel Steel of the 1st degree, the sword has 7 attack damage, and the pickaxe has 5, and it can probably mine at like a reasonable rate, maybe like iron. If we get all the way up to Angel Steel of the 11th degree, which is going to be very hard to get, because you have to wait for this guy over here to spew out a ton of these ingots. And remember, we're going pretty fast with this creative pump. If you're using a normal pump, this would take a long time. But if we were to use Angel Steel of the 11th degree, you could see that the sword now has 16 attack, and this thing will mine so much faster, it'll be more efficient, it'll be just much better in general. So that's basically what the synthesizer does, and that's what you can do with Angel ingots of all the different degrees. Finally, this one over here, probably my favorite of the lot, is the Ritual of the Nether. And this one, if we put it down over here, like so, requires 100 power, and what it's going to do is it's going to change everything around us into the Nether. It's basically going to change the overworld into the Nether. So I'm going to move up a little bit. We're going to get almost up to 100 here. There we go. And you're going to see, as soon as it happens, boom. And it has a pretty wide radius. Everything that's wood, all of these trees are going to turn into glowstone. All that wood turned to glowstone. The dirt is going to turn into either soul sand or netherrack. The water is going to turn into lava, and then obviously obsidian if it's near water already. And this thing has a massive range. I will just tell you now, the range is pretty huge. It's still going out there. It's still making more stuff. And it is basically turning the overworld into the Nether. And I believe if you kind of like log off and log back on, or if you like go away and come back, if you let the chunks reload, it will actually change to a hell biome. Right now it's still forest, but the biome does actually change to hell. So if we go into easy or normal, for example, we will actually start to see things like ghasts, zombie pigmen. You can see that zombie pigmen are actually spawning in already, which is kind of awesome. They just spawn in, and you can create your own little hell dimension just with that guy over there. And you could put, that wasn't very hard to do. It was only 100 ticks. So, yeah. I don't know what to use it for. I think it's really cool. That is the hell one. That's the Ritual of the Nether. So that's most of the blocks there. There were a few more that I didn't cover, but you can go and look at those for yourself if you would like. What we're going to move on to now is items. But before we do, I would like to give a quick shout out to this thing here, the Bookshelf Coordinator from Aura Cascade. Now, much like the rest of the blocks, it does require some juice in order to run. So let's get another quick system set up over here. We'll do something like this, and then we'll just do this and this. It doesn't need a lot of stuff in order to run, so we'll just kind of go and do that. That should get this thing up and running. And basically, what we can do is if we look in the Aura Cascade section here, and scroll down, you'll see we have a bunch of books about storage. The first one is dense storage, going all the way down to very light storage. And we're going to start with the average one, the kind of the default just storage book. And if you take one of these storage books, any of the storage books, and right-click on a bookshelf that is near the Bookshelf Coordinator, what you can now do, actually, let me disconnect that. If you shift right-click first, you can take it off again. If we right-click on here, you'll see there's like little interface, but we can't put items in. If we were to go ahead and put the storage book onto this bookshelf, you'll see it becomes a storage bookshelf, and now we can actually put things into this little system, and it kind of creates a pseudo applied energistic system for you to store all your stuff in, which is kind of awesome. And you can put as many of these down as you want. There are a bunch of different books that you can use to have a lot of storage, a really small amount of storage. There are some books that allow massive storage of very few items, so you can have 10,000 cobblestone, but only cobblestone. And there are some that allow you to have a bunch of different items, but only a very small amount, like maybe less than 10 of each item. And also you can see here, if you hover over it, actually tells you what's inside, which, if you ask me, is pretty awesome. You can also go ahead and search. If you if I type in Aura, it shows all of the things that have the word Aura in them. If I type in Nerd, it's going to go ahead and... Oh, did that not work? Nerd? Nope. Okay, apparently that doesn't work. But you can type stuff in and you should come up with all the stuff. If I type in creative, it comes up with the creative pump. This is kind of cool. I don't know how much you'd use it. I guess if you don't have applied energistics, so I can hear a ghast. If you don't have applied energistics, it could come in very useful. I don't know where he is, but I'm going to go back to peaceful here so I don't get attacked. And we will go back to daytime as well. But that's how that works. Just a quick little shout out to that block. And now we're going to move on to items. This mod adds, I think, 20 to 30 items. These are my 7 favorites. These are the 7 favorites. If you want to play around with some of the rest of them, again, you can look in the Encyclopedia Aura. There are loads of them to play around with. And they are all really, really cool. The first one on the list here is the Amulet. Oh, I spelled Amulet wrong there. Amulet of the Angel's Wings. And this one is really cool, as you may have guessed. So let's pretend that you are in your base. You know, you've made this cool base. It's got multiple floors. And like me, you're not a huge fan of ladders. Ladders are a bit slow. They're a bit laborious. They take up room in your building that you could be using for, like, they take up wall space that could be used for macerators and machines and all kinds of cool stuff. And so it said you want a way to get from your current floor to the next floor without having to use a ladder. That is where this guy comes in. So this is why you need baubles. If you press B, it will open up the baubles menu. You can also just click this little button if you're in survival mode. In creative mode, you have to press B. Let me show you this real quick. Survival mode. If you go to your inventory, little baubles tab, click that, throw in your amulet of the angel's ring. I'm going to go back to creative mode. Actually, no, I'll stay in survival mode just to show you that's how it works. And then if you press up or down on your arrow keys, it will take you up or down to the next available free space. If I press up, boom, I get moved up. If I press down, I go back down. If I go down again, I end up in a cave. If I go down again, let's move. Oh, down again. Oh, yep, okay, there we go. We found this little room of lava. And then back up, and up, and up. If we're under here, and down. So that's kind of cool. It's pretty much free. It doesn't require any kind of fuel. It's pretty awesome. Next up on the list is a similar item. It's again an amulet. This is the Sash of the Angel's Heel. And this one, like before, let me go into creative mode so I can grab it. This one is used, again, in the baubles menu. We'll go B, and we'll stick it in over here. And this one, for those who are unfamiliar with step assist, basically what step assist is by default in Minecraft, if you want to go up a block, you have to jump. Step assist allows you to just walk at the block, and it pushes you up. So right now, I'm not pressing jump, I'm not pressing spacebar. It's just allowing me to walk straight up these blocks. That's what that sash does. But it also kind of does it on an extreme level. For example, if we wanted to step assist up here, all we gotta do is just walk at it, and boom, it step assisted us up. And I'm not quite sure if this thing has like a max height that it can go. Let's try like getting up here over there. If we just kind of stand here and walk towards the wall, which I'm doing right now, I'm just walking towards it, boom. It takes a little while, but this thing can step assist like massive amounts of distance, like stupid heights. We got from there all the way up to there just by holding forward. That's what the Sash of the Angel's Heel does. Again, pretty cool block. Probably not as useful to me as the Angel's Wings, but I thought it was kind of cool. Next up is the Rebounding Enigma, and this one is just fantastic. You familiar with slime blocks? If we walk onto this one, boom! We get catapulted pretty much to sky limit in the world just by bouncing on this thing. This thing might even be able to go, like, from bedrock to world height. It's ridiculous how high this thing can jump. I don't even know why you'd need it, but it's awesome. I think it's fantastic, and that is what that is like. Next on the list is this one, the Traveler's Bricks, and as you may have guessed, this one just speeds you up. If we were to go ahead and put it down like so, get a little runway going. If you had like a base and you want to go to another section of your base, you can lay this down. You can walk across it normally, but if you sprint whilst you're on it, like that, but in the wrong direction, if you sprint in the right direction, double tap forward, boom, it moves you almost instantly from one side to the other. Let's make this just a bit longer here, like that. Let's land, and there we go. Instantaneous movement. It is fantastic. I love it. It's really, really fast. It's like the, I think, oh wow, the step assist kicked in there as well, so we got catapulted up there. It's kind of like the, I think there's a block in Thorncraft that does a similar thing, but it's nowhere near that fast. And then finally, oh no, not finally, we come on to the last three. This one here, the Mirror of the Angel, I believe is specifically made for ghasts, because if we were to go ahead and grab ourselves a ghast real quick, and kind of chuck him down like there, he's going to fire at us if we go into survival mode. And if we right-click with this thing, it will deflect his fire back at him, no matter where we're pointing. And if it has to hit us. No matter where we're pointing, it will deflect back at that guy. Come on, come over here. Let me deflect bullets at you. Here we go. Click it. Oh, come on now. Work with me, game. Work with me. It should deflect. There we go. And it deflects them very fast back at him. So it creates a very fast projectile going back towards the ghast, which should pretty much kill him. There we go. We'll come back to peaceful. So that's what that does. Very good for killing gas, getting gas tiers, all that kind of stuff. And then the last two here are pretty similar, but the portable black hole is basically a utility for mining. Let me go into creative mode again so we can grab it. When you're mining, your inventory fills up with cobblestone pretty quick, especially if you're doing something like strip mining. And basically, the portable black hole will just absorb any cobblestone in your inventory. Give it a second, and boom, it's gone. We can take some more, spread it all out. give it a second, and it's gone. So it just eats up cobblestone and destroys it. So you don't have to worry about your backpack getting filled up with cobblestone. And then finally, the last one here, the portable red hole, is a utility for mining, I guess, as well. Let me grab the encyclopedia aura again, so that I can kind of show you the entry for this one. I think it says something like do not drop. By the way, if you want to find an item, you can just go to index and just type it in. If I type in red, you can see it's there, red portable hole. The red portable hole is a simple device that every 5 seconds will create an extremely large explosion around itself. It will take 5 times longer to despawn when dropped on the ground. Orange protection amulets are strongly recommended. So if we were to drop this like over here, it will just dig down to bedrock. Boom. It's an extremely large explosion. And again, it will kind of wait there. And a few seconds later, does it again. And if you want to get down to bedrock, that would be a really quick way, I guess, to keep going. I think water kind of stops it a little bit. But you can just keep throwing this thing down. And it will just do massive explosions all over the place. And again, it won't despawn for very long, especially when it's dropped to the ground, which is kind of cool. And, oh my goodness, oh, yep, no, okay, we're fine. We're fine. I thought it destroyed some of this bit here. But yeah, that's kind of the last item that I want to talk about. Like I said, there were a bunch more items within this mod that I didn't cover in this video. I would encourage you to download the mod, link in the description, play alongside with me, go and test some of these items out for yourself. It's a really cool mod, really interesting, definitely worth a try. But with that, guys, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like, leave a comment down below, tell me what you thought. I will see you guys next time.